one of the key demands is that the survivors and their families are housed in the borough. That is being debated and discussed tonight inside the cabinet meeting. That is going to be raised. And we hope that it will bring some success, because it's something concrete to give the survivors. Almost 6 weeks after the fire, and still only 20 families have been housed.
Rehousing in the borough now! We're
Rehousing in the borough now! Our second demand, which is also one of the reasons that we are here tonight, is to actually call on the cabinet members who have made those decisions to cut costs and to put the lives of the residents of Grenfell at risk because they wanted to save money, allegedly 300,000. We want those people, the cabinet especially, to be held account and to be prosecuted. And that's why we want them prosecuted now.
But we also have to put the blame fair and square on the government, because that government cut back on the fire services. We had fire workers, heroically, fire brigade, working 12 hours in that intense heat, in that appalling conditions, trying to save people when they should have only been working 4. They didn't have adequate ladders to access top floors to rescue people that could have been rescued. So it's quite clear there is politics involved here. It's an anti-working class politics, and I hope this Justice for Grenfell campaign highlights everybody that's done wrong and they're brought to justice. Justice for Grenfell.
A state regeneration which leads to the implementation of private management structures and the subcontracting out of services to private contractors is a cross-party programme. So please, if we're looking for justice for Grenfell, for the people who died and the people who have been affected by this, by all of us, we also have to look for the justice for the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are living in council and social housing up and down the country and who are threatened by this programme of estate regeneration.
Right now there's going to be a number of speeches being given. One of them is going to be given by Save North Kensington Library. Eve Wedderburn is going to say there should be a moratorium on all building within the North Kensington area and a stopping of all the development projects. Right? That is what we should be supporting fundamentally here. Right? Pierce Thompson from Save Silchester is going to be giving another speech which will place Grenfell Tower within the regeneration and redevelopment projects that went over a 40-year period that Grenfell stands in. And if people are actually going to do their work, and I know the media are here, we need to start looking at the broader picture here, right? Yes, you've got RBKC Council, yes, you've got the KCTMO, but you've got big developers. You've got the Westway Trust, you've got the third sector vultures that thought that serving big developers was the way that they served the community. You started to define the community in this nebulous future way that talked about footfall, that talked about money being spent, but didn't talk about the existing communities of North Kensington, because they saw the real estate and they didn't see the people. That is racist Britain. This is the very hostile environment. Theresa May said she wanted a very hostile environment. Grenfell Tower was it. And if you look at the people who were in that tower, who was it? It was predominantly Muslim, predominantly North African, predominantly the people who this state loved to villainize.
I've worked with the children in Grenfell Tower for nearly 15 years as a supply, and also I've lost a friend. I can't give her name because her family are very, very aggrieved. What we need now is we need to prove we are a community. We're not being shifted out. We're not being moved away. We built these communities. We gave it its colour. We gave it its flavour. And that's why everyone wants to come and live here. But if we go, all that will go. And our people, and there was more than 80 people who died in that fire, what did they die for if we don't get up and rebuild this community?
In the hours after the Grenfell tragedy disaster, 4 local authorities offered their help from surrounding boroughs, and this council turned down that help. Now, on the streets around Grenfell, towards the end of the week, there were still no council officers to be seen. Nobody. The national press And Theresa May was talking about all the help that was being given to local residents. It was absolutely lies, lies after lies. I came to the town hall on the Saturday to come and actually try and make a complaint, and that's when I found the town hall was shut. And actually, the brother who spoke earlier saying that the customer services was boarded up, that's what it was like on the Saturday. That was 4 weeks ago, it was boarded up. So 4 councillors offered their help, and actually this council turned that help down. People were not being rehoused, people were still sleeping on the floor in the Westway Centre. So when we talk about a public inquiry, there should also be an inquiry as to how a council can absolutely abdicate its responsibility towards its local citizens.
They want to lie by the death count. Tell me where's all the survivors are. He tried to burn on my blocks. He tried to burn on my people who hurt me a lot. Government turned into ops. Like you ain't heard of the evil, they murdered the boss. Grenfell be burning away. He tried to turn us away. They want to fuck with LA. Nobody running that way. Let up a ghost at my home. I was taking it back like it's back in the day and get back for the roads. But I don't living in Manchester homes. Next to the Jack City Latimer Road, all the kids that got trapped in the family homes. We shouldn't have to see that side of growth. Can't even made it to flammable homes. He trying to pay it with glitter, the poor getting poor and the rich getting richer.
Grenfell Tower was burning, you didn't let that burn right down. LAOBG, we ain't gonna ever back down. Love my hood to the death, RIP to the rest. LAOBG, we ain't gonna ever back down.
RIP to all those who are still alive. LAOBG means Latimer, Lemon Grove, for all those who want to know. Grenfell Tower's burning, you didn't let that burn back down. LAOBG, we ain't gonna ever back down. Love my hood to the death.
Emotional, it's emotional, it's emotional. Big round of applause! What do you call the act? Okay. This is Chris, who's one of the survivors, as family members who have perished in the tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming out today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know a few facts of what happened on the 14th of June this year that shames the whole of humanity. It's not just a shame on those that were responsible as tenant management organization. It's not just a shame on those that felt they were councillors, because I can't understand how you can be representing people and see death coming their way and do nothing. I'm here today because I stood and watched the building burn down. We were prevented from going into the building to save innocent children, to save pregnant mothers, to save disabled men, to save the vulnerable. If a society cannot care for the vulnerable, what type of society is that? I'm ashamed I'm a human. If this is proof of humanity, I'm ashamed to belong to the human race. How can children die and the society is still going over business as usual? On the 4th of July, we met with the coroner. The coroner told us that there were no human bodies left. We wanted to know when will we have the bodies so that we can bury them and have closure. Do you know what they told us? They don't know. It may be October. It may be November. They don't know. How can human lives be so degraded to say, up till now, we don't have a list of people that are suspected to have perished? How can you say you are an authority, a representative democracy that do not realize the value of one life? How can you say today that the grieving mothers cannot bury their children, and when you still have the MPs, the House of Parliament, going on vacation? Yes. I'm ashamed to be a member of the human race. I'm ashamed because you are sending proof to Earth, probe to Mars, probe to Star, to find whether there is proof of intelligent life on Mars. I want to send a probe to the local authority, send a probe to the House of Parliament to see whether there is proof of intelligent life in Britain. Bring back our children. Bring back our mothers. Bring back our fathers. We want them back until you bring back our brothers and sisters that were incinerated. We cannot rest. And you cannot say you are part of humanity until you bring back every single boy and girl that got perished on Tuesday night. Until you bring them back. We want our men back. They didn't go to war, they went to bed. Policemen and women, realize this, that every life matters. Because poor lives matter. Poor lives matter. Poor lives matter. Poor lives matter.
Thank you, Chris. The speaker will come up in a minute. No justice! No justice! No justice!
The world is watching. Do the right things. Admit your failures. Bring in the commissioners before it gets any worse for those you failed. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Would all those in favour of Elizabeth Campbell please show? We meet at a time of unimaginable grief and sorrow. The Grenfell fire is the biggest civilian disaster in this country for a generation. And in recent weeks, I have been meeting survivors, speaking to those dealing with the aftermath of the fire, and staying in touch with those still living in the shadow of the tower. The victims of this tragedy have been let down by this council. And tonight I reiterate that apology to you directly. No ifs, no buts, no excuses.
I would also like to invite any survivors who would like to do so to speak tonight. Yes?
I'm very happy that that should happen.
Thank you.
Before I start, please, if you allow me, there is 4 people outside. They are survivors. They didn't allow them to come in, and they're saying let me please speak, please. They're saying it's security reasons. Luca, his name is Luca. When he saved a woman and he carried her through the stairs, he never asked for security reason. Please, can you let them in, please? With all the respect I give you.
Yeah, okay, let them in.
بنی آدم اعضای یکدیگرند که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند چون عضوی به در آورد روزگار دیگر عضوها را نماند قرار تو که از مهنت دیگران بیغمی شاید که نامت نهد آدمی.
I'm speaking on behalf of my niece, who is no longer with us. My brother and my sister-in-law are unable to speak in public at the moment because their pain is so huge.
I haven't slept. For 6 weeks. Have you slept for 6 weeks? I think so. You have 8 hours, 6 hours. I haven't slept because of a reason. For those family who died, I've been doing a death toll to see how many precisely I've done. I've been doing more than the police. You can ask Stuart Candy. You can ask him. I've done more than him.
I want to thank the council members for coming. The only question and the core question I would like to ask you, what part of my body would you want me to give to demonstrate my frustration in provoking the humanity in you? I've had a life. I would have preferred to have died in the inferno than survive, because the children that got roasted, innocent children that got roasted in that inferno, did not deserve to die.
Since the fire, I couldn't sleep properly. I have seen people who waving their hands in the 21st floor, 22nd floor, and 23rd floor. Some of them I know. They are my friends, and they all gone. And I know they're not going to come back.
The way we, as the family of the deceased, have been treated is disgusting. We've been left out of meetings, yeah? We literally, I've been finding out about meetings 30 minutes in advance, having to find a way to get to these meetings, yeah? We're being swept underneath the carpet. Survivors have got a voice now, they can talk. The dead cannot talk. I'm here.
The main problem the residents have is lack of action. Now, what we feel is that everyone's just trying to tick boxes. Everyone's just trying to, basically, you know what? We've offered this many homes, we've offered this, we've done this, we've done... Everyone's looking at their own resume. The truth of the matter is, not you, no one done nothing for us. You know who done something for us? The residents of North Kensington, our community, our neighbours, our families. They done for us.
You let the dead down, now you want to come for the living? Are you having a laugh? You're not in power. You will not be. The people must choose you. And we have not chosen you. So, madam, please, madam, step down and resign.
Okay. Could we have some silence, please, so we can hear the next survivor who would like to talk to the meeting? Thank you.
Maybe if you guys had spent as much time considering the safety of the people in the tower as you are dealing with the control of this room, things would have been different.
Those among you who think the challenge of this crisis lies in public perception, stand down. Those of you who agree with Councillor Wheel that your role here is to hear but not listen, stand down. Those of you who have done the dirty work of developers, stand down. This means you, Councillor Moylan, wined and dined by Minerva's representatives, Terrapin, and coincidentally denouncing the Kensington Odeon building, which they subsequently bought and demolished. Or you, Councillor Fielding Mellon, handing over public buildings to private schools that you plan to send your own children to. Stand down. Stand down if you think that stockpiling huge reserves, Councillor Lightfoot, while cutting down on estates, facilities and services, Councillor Warwick, is in any way necessary in this richest of boroughs. Stand down if you think that cutting corners has nothing to do with community safety, Councillor Hargreaves. Stand down if you cannot understand that we protest your actions, not because we enjoy the protest, because of tiny things, Councillor Fawkes, like the effects of your decisions on our lives. Fawkes' response on the morning of the fire to hearing a survivor's account of barely escaping with his life from a building he had been warning the council about for years was to accuse him of political point scoring. Councillor, if you think the trauma of Grenfell Tower is a political point, stand down.
If you, councillors from the ruling party, honestly believe that you have the legitimacy after everything you've heard here tonight, after everything that's happened in North Kensington over the past few weeks, you need to seriously reconsider, because I'll tell you one thing, the wounds that have been created in North Kensington are not going to heal as long as you are ignorant enough to believe that you have a right to rule over us.
I've taken from it is the politicians are still so out of touch. They had first-hand accounts of people from the tower, people giving their accounts of how their lives have been affected, what they had before, what they now don't have. And then they're still grandstanding, they're still giving speeches, they're still making statements. It completely is pageantry. It was just a complete pageant, you know. So one of the survivors actually said, they're not clowns, this is not a circus. Well, actually, I would argue that that was a circus, just the clowns were not the survivors, it was the politicians.